I'm here with Commissioner Cooper on Friday, May 9th, talking with her about the upcoming resolution that will go in front of the City Commission on Monday. The question is, will the Commission support the Lee Road extension? So, Commissioner Cooper, do you support or oppose that resolution, and why?
Well, Tom, I'd like to start by saying thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk to the community. This decision is moving very rapidly. We had a workshop this past week with the City Commission, and at that time we agended it for our very next meeting, which is Monday, which makes it a little difficult for us to get the word out to people so that they can understand what's going on and come and participate. So I do appreciate this, and personally I am very opposed to this resolution. I think for a myriad of reasons that I would hope you give me an opportunity to go into. I think it's a very bad decision for the city. I think traffic and traffic congestion is one of the biggest threats to our quality of life here. And I think anything that we do to make it easier to bring regional traffic through our premier neighborhoods is a huge mistake.
It's our understanding that construction on I-4 could take place at the same time as construction on the Lee Road extension, if that's approved. If that's true, do you think the city is prepared to handle the traffic congestion that would result from simultaneous construction on Lee Road, 1792, and I-4?
That's a tough question. Anybody that watches television understands that in 2015, the I-4 is scheduled for major construction. They're going to put medians down the center and they're going to rework all the lanes to the side. That's going to force a lot of traffic off of I-4, and they're going to be searching for alternatives. Are we prepared to handle that? I would say we're as prepared to handle that as we are to handle the cut-through traffic that we have right now on 1792 and on Loma. So if you're comfortable that we are handling that the best we can, then I would say yes, we will handle the I-4 traffic the best we can. But the truth of the matter is it's going to dump a lot of new traffic onto our roads.
Have you seen, there have been quite a few studies over the years that are looking at traffic impacts and traffic issues in and around that area. You've spoken about some of them. Our question is, do you feel that the city has adequately studied the traffic impacts of action versus inaction, one alternative versus another?
Tom, I'm not real comfortable that we have had time to do that. This particular cut-through of Lee Road was analyzed in depth back in 2002, 2004, and at that point in time, those traffic studies anticipated about a 1.4% growth a year in the traffic. If you read the reports, they weren't anticipating Ravadage at 1.2 million square feet of commercial and retail. They weren't considering those 14,800 trips that development alone is going to generate. They had no way of considering the lakeside and Trader Joe's and what that was going to do to traffic in our community. We've recently built 300 apartments at the corner of Canton and Denning. Certainly those studies didn't anticipate that. They also did not anticipate this Whole Foods. Now the latest traffic analysis that we got from the developer did consider his project, but it didn't consider his project in light of all of these other projects that have been developed, nor did it consider the potential for the Kmart shopping center, which I understand is under contract. It did not consider the potential for the VOTEC, and I understand the school board is being approached to sell VOTEC. At one point in time during this process, we were considering that site for the minor league baseball field. So I don't believe we have taken the time to do a corridor study, and that's what we need. We need to understand the corridor. When I say the corridor for Winter Park, I mean from the south end of our city to the north end of our city along 1792. So that means you're going to encompass Ravatage, and you're going to go all the way down and encompass Orange Avenue and that area. So I think we need to look at the broader picture. We've had some very educated and involved citizens. I know Jeffrey Blydenberg has been advocating for a corridor study. I just think it makes sense. I think we need to slow down, back up just a little bit, and take the time to analyze what's already been approved.
Based on what the city feels it does know at this time, despite the fact that in the opinion of many, there are more studies that should be done, but based on what they know now, do you think that with current knowledge, the city has done an adequate job of informing citizens about what it is they do know, short-term, long-term, relative to that intersection of that proposed extension?
I think we have certainly shared at the public forum meeting this particular development and this developer's view of the transportation issues. I don't know that we have had an opportunity or the time, or that we're allowing ourselves enough time so that we can take this issue into individual neighborhoods and discuss it with the people that are going to be impacted. The residents of Winter Park are very educated people. Most of them can understand these traffic studies. They can understand the potential for impact in their community, but we have to give them the chance to come to the table. And I think the way to do that is to slow down just a little bit. And when I say slow down, I don't mean that this project, the Whole Foods project with the additional 36,000 square feet of retail, should be held up. I don't believe that. I would like to see this developer be given access to the light at the corner of Lee and 1792. What I do not want to see is that road punched through into our premier residential neighborhoods. That is very short-sighted in my opinion.
It's our understanding that Florida DOT is not interested in approving a change at that signal that would bring traffic in and then stop it inside the development. That their interest is either doing a full extension that allows traffic to flow onto either Webster or Denning, or basically nothing at all. To your understanding, is that DOT's position, or do you think that there's an opening, more than has been communicated, that DOT might consider terminating that extension next to the Whole Foods or the up development property?
Tom, when you say more than has been communicated, from what I know, and I've only been advised by staff, I have not heard directly from FDOT, but what I have heard from staff is that their position is for access to that light, they want Lee Road punched through. So I can't tell you if there's something out there that I haven't been advised of yet. I can tell you that I am seeking the truth.
In an interview that we did with the developer, Scott Fish, at the workshop where his consultants and his engineers were there to talk to the community, we asked Mr. Fish directly whether his development could succeed without any extension of Lee Road. He seemed to indicate that that he could certainly do well if it was extended somewhat, but not punched through all the way. When I indicated to him that it was my understanding that FDOT was not interested in a partial solution, I asked Mr. Fish whether his development could succeed without any change at that intersection, and he flatly indicated that he thought his development could succeed. In your discussions with Mr. Fish, or in discussions you've had with others, is that your understanding of his position?
Sometimes you know more than I do, Tom. That's disturbing. I would say that in my conversations with Mr. Fish, he did indicate to me that while he would prefer certainly extended access, that his project would go forward just fine without that. His desire that was expressed to me was access to that light, because that's what Whole Foods needs to make that project successful in their mind. So I think going beyond that is not necessarily something that is a make it or break it for this project.
Mayor Bradley has indicated in various public forums that if this issue is not dealt with now, it will come back to the table sooner or later. On the other hand, it appears as though the City Commission may be fast-forwarding the process, and the appearance is possibly that the fast-forwarding is primarily in response to the needs of the developer of Up Development. Is that your view, or is there some other reason that there seems to be a new urgency to resolve this issue now?
Tom, I don't have that sense of urgency, so I can't comment on what is causing other people to have that sense of urgency. Personally, I believe that originally this was scheduled for consideration in 2018, I believe. I think that's the day, I could be wrong. But my understanding was it was to be after the I-4 renovation, which makes sense, because if the I-4 renovation takes place, then a lot of traffic, hopefully, will have been moved off of 1792. We may find that we don't even need to consider doing this. There were a lot of alternatives put forward of ways that we could free up that traffic on 1792. Cutting Lee Road 3 was just one of them. From my perspective, I would rather take care of I-4, move that traffic, experience Sunrail, see if that's going to alleviate some of that northwest traffic, and then and only then consider cutting into our premier neighborhoods. Because traffic is like water. You may hope that it's going to go directly down Webster and out Temple and out Palmer, but it's going to travel, and people are going to find the easiest route for them. So for me, I would like to do things in a sequence that allow those other mitigating opportunities to be put in place first before we violate the neighborhoods. And I do consider this a violation of the neighborhoods.
A question about process and as far as how the city communicates with residents. In this particular case, the city apparently agreed to partner with the developer in the work session at the Civic Center recently. And there were citizens in the audience at that workshop who protested the limitation by the city and the developer of the town hall style question and answer session some of them were expecting. Instead, the city asked the citizens to talk one-on-one to the developer and his representatives, and in fact they did take a handful of questions. But one city resident during the meeting, for instance, complained that by limiting the forum, other citizens were deprived of the benefit of hearing an open public exchange. Do you have a comment on how this process was handled?
I think that particular meeting was a good start. And my understanding was that the purpose of that meeting was to give the residents an opportunity to gather information and to understand, and that their comments would be then provided to the city commissioners for us to discuss. I think by rushing forward to this Monday's meeting, we may be missing an opportunity to publicly discuss those different issues, and I think we should. I think that given that P&Z in particular has tabled the project, to allow another meeting, we have time now, and I would really like to see the city take advantage of that time and set up meetings with different neighborhood groups, and I think we have time to do that. I can see where that may have been frustrating for people because they were hoping for a back and forth exchange. But it was a good start. It was a good start. It just can't be the end. It can't be all there is. So certainly, at a minimum, this coming Monday is a public hearing where public comment will be taken. That's not the same as sitting down and talking and getting feedback immediately. I understand that. But if we are not able to do those community meetings, then people need to be there Monday to talk to their commissioners and hopefully talk to city staff. And I think the important thing is that we do that with a sense of respect for one another, because otherwise you get bogged down in the emotion and you're not able to deal with the facts. And there are a lot of facts there that need to be dealt with, and I think they need to be presented to the public, and an open discussion about that. And the real trick is, how do you have an open discussion without allowing emotion to take over when you're talking about people's quality of life and about people's property values? And that's what we're doing. So to me, it's essential that it be in smaller community groups. I would like to see it that way as opposed to at the commission meeting. But ultimately, it will be at the commission meeting. And as it's scheduled right now, it is on that agenda for Monday.
Do you know whether it was announced at the time that the workshop at the Civic Center was advertised to the community, that outside of the commission meeting that you just referenced, that would be the community's last opportunity to learn about the development, the extension, and to receive and give input prior to what will be a final vote this coming Monday?
Tom, I can't answer that. I can tell you that I didn't understand it to be the last opportunity.
Do you have any other comments regarding the issue?
Well, I'd kind of like to summarize exactly why I am opposed to this. The first, of course, is participation. I do not, as you have expressed, I do not feel we have done an adequate job of allowing participation by the residents. We did back in 2002 and 2004, but that was a decade ago, so that's not adequate for now. The second issue to me is the fact that they have not considered all of the development along the 1792 corridor. I really believe it would be in our best interest to consider all of the approved development and the entitlements along that corridor before we make major decisions that are going to impact our quality of life. The third is, I don't think that the particular cut-through alternative that's being voted on Monday has been vetted at all. That particular alternative was not part of the original alternatives. It's not an alternative that came to us recommended by FDOT or evaluated. The Gladding-Jackson report of 2002 says that they considered a very similar alternative. They would have brought the road through on the west side of the Volvo store, between the Volvo store and the Thai restaurant, as opposed to now we're considering the east side of the Volvo store, between the Volvo store and Votech. At that time, that Galloway entrance next to the Thai restaurant was totally dismissed because the light was too close to the Webster intersection. And I think there's a real possibility that that light that we are talking about now putting one building over is still too close to that intersection. In fact, when they talk about why 1792 fails, they tell you it's because we have opposing left-hand turns. We have people trying to turn left in two different directions, so that's a problem. We have lights that are too close together along that corridor, and we aren't funneling the traffic off before it reaches the intersection, and we don't have the medians properly placed. So there are a lot of alternatives that need to be evaluated, and I would like to see us do a core study along with FDOT to look at the entitlements along that corridor and alternatives. I'm not sure this one has received adequate vetting. The next one is the timing. That's another reason that I'm opposed to this. If and when it becomes necessary to punch Lee Road through, I would like for us to have done it after I-4 renovation, not before, because that's going to create unbelievable traffic that none of us are ready to deal with, I don't think. And the last thing is the results. You know, the question is, what are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to improve the flow along 1792? Is that why we are bringing this road into our neighborhoods? A study was done, I think it's called a Cinco software model. People in the business will know that. Back in maybe the 2002 timeframe, and it showed that even after the Lee Road extension, 1792 northbound was going to function at an F level. That means it will continue to fail. And so the question is, why would we subject our neighborhoods to that sort of traffic unless we can show them a considerable improvement in the traffic flow on 1792? And that has not been shown to me. I do not see that, and I'd like to see that if indeed it is true before we do this. And last but not least, I would like people to understand that it is not the Whole Foods development. That is not the issue. That development can go forward with access to that light without punching Lee Road through. And what I saw at the meeting and heard, because I did attend the meeting they're talking about, the public forum, and what I want us to be careful of is not to pit neighborhood against neighborhood. I heard the people on the west side, their concern was, don't let that traffic come down Denning. I heard the people in Park Grove, don't let that traffic come down Park North. We didn't hear much from the people on Webster or the people on Palmer. For whatever reason, maybe they're not aware yet. I would like to know that they've had time to become aware and to analyze this. And for me, the real important thing for everyone to understand is we're not the west side in Park Grove and Palmer. We're Winter Park. And as we start to erode this valuable section of Winter Park, we're toying with property values. And I really think that's a bad decision. So I would like to see this corridor analysis done to make sure we are making the best decision we can, to make sure it is a necessary decision, and to make sure that the results truly do free up the 1792 corridor. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper. We appreciate your speaking with us, and we should note that we've extended the invitation to speak to the voice to the mayor and all the commissioners.
Oh, good. I hope someone takes you up on it, because this needs to be talked about. And if we can't do it in meetings, then maybe this is the only way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.